Hey everybody, this is the Fiery Joker, and today we just watched It Follows for our third night of Nights of Frights. And, it was good.
This is the kind of horror movie that I actually enjoy because there's kind of a puzzle aspect to it. The monster, it was a monster flick. Monster flick with some simple horror aspect. Basically, you just have this shape-shifting creature that's invisible to, shape-shifting creature that's invisible to everyone but the victims, right? It changes how it looks, depending on who the person is. Sometimes it looks like someone you know, sometimes it looks like a complete stranger or someone you saw.
I wonder why it does that.
I don't know. Maybe it'll disguise itself as someone you don't know so that, you'll let it get close, and then sometimes it'll disguise itself as, someone you do know because you'll let it get close. So,
that's a good point.
Like, for instance, when you saw it knocking on the kid's door, it disguised itself as the mom because he'd opened the door for the mom. Or when she saw it walking, into that kid's house, it was that kid. It wasn't behaving like that kid, but anyone else trying to break into that house would have brought up a lot more suspicion than that kid. So it seems to be taking the forms of the most less suspected individuals.
Yeah.
Except for the one part where it was where it tried to climb into the shed and it became that freaky zombie thing.
It was like a tiny little kid so it could fit through the hole.
Guess. I'll tell you, that was creepy when she opened the door and it was that giant. It's like thump, 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 and it was like.
Maybe I checked that form so it could have longer legs.
Maybe. My gosh, it moved so quickly too. She was like, nope, flung herself out the door window. I was like, oh crap.
Yes, there was certainly a puzzle aspect to this boss, and throughout the movie, we were on our phones calculating. It's like, okay, so if it was walking at a leisurely pace, how long would we get? And so we were probably staying at our parents' place in Dallas. It's like an hour drive gives you 22 hours.
Well, so if we drove to our parents' house, we'd have
about
3 days to relax before it finally walked all that distance. So yeah, that's another aspect of this creature. It always knows where you are. It always knows exactly where you are, no matter the distance or what you're in front of or behind of. And it's always walking it's not really walking towards you. It's meandering towards you. It's not like a shuffle. It's still a walk, but it's a very lazy walk. I'm sleepwalking type of walk.
Yeah, and so yeah, you would get a lot of time for yourself, and
that was another this thing builds suspense, and it's like
by its very nature.
Yeah. And it's like, there's that, waiting for the hammer to drop type thing. I'll tell you that that was interesting at the ending when they finally have the creature, corner her in the pool. It's just rather than because she's watching the door, and you expect it to come to the door, and then the camera cuts out, and it comes back in, and then suddenly she kind of turns, and she's like, it's right there! And it doesn't actually show us the thing. We're getting to see it from the other guy's perspective. It's like, where? It's just standing right there.
Yeah, it's like
looking at me.
Yeah, and that's the thing about this creature. It reminds me so much of that comedy video, the incredibly slow killer with an incredibly inefficient weapon. But this is that idea played straight.
That idea played straight and terrifying.
Yeah.
I'll admit, though, it was a lot... the creature was a lot more frightening when you didn't know how it killed you. Now that you know, the horror... It's because in the beginning, you see the first victim. She's twisted into a pretzel and her bones are broken. You're like, oh gosh, what happened to you? And then it's like, it's like, well, how does it kill you? What does it do to you? And then you finally find out, oh, okay, it has the powers to look like, anyone you want. It's invisible to anyone but the victim. It knows you at all times, and it is the strength, and it's not necessarily super strong, but it's linebacker strong.
Yeah. And I do think, it's like once you find out like how it kills its victims, a little bit of that factor is kind of taken out. It's kind of like the same thing with the Final Destination movies. It's like, I have a soft spot for the Final Destination movies. It's like, I know they're just stupid little slasher gore porn where the slasher is death itself, but I like the Final Destination movies because they understand build-up really well. It's like the build-up to each death is really, really cool, but the deaths of themselves are just really, really dumb. Really goofy, kind of like just...
There wasn't anything really goofy about this creature. It's just like...
Well, sort of. I mean, the way that one kid died, I was like, really? Death by snoo-snoo?
Snoo-snoo?
Sex.
Oh. Okay, yeah.
That's kind of one of our biggest problems with the movie. I know some people like that, but us good two Christian boys, we were very uncomfortable.
I had my eyes closed for all the sex scenes. I actually left the room for, when they were hinting that another one was coming on, I was like, look, I'm done with this.
They didn't show anything too explicit other than there was some, top nudity. And
there was definitely, it was like, oh, look, we're showing the nipples. I'm like, oh, gosh. And then they had the one naked dude on top of the house, and you could totally see his junk hanging out.
Hey, I was in the Marine Corps. I've seen plenty of guys' junk.
It was like...
But
it's like I don't know the rating of this movie. I totally know it's R.
Yeah, there was a lot of very raunchy scenes, and just the sex scenes. It's just I'm not even sure people would even. It's like usually the sexy stuff with the horror stuff is just supposed to turn you on, but here there's just this undercurrent of depression. It's like because basically you pass the thing on, you give the thing a new target by banging someone else. It's like an STD, and it's
like there was a like I asked Joshua during the movie. I was like, I mean, I know what would happen to me. Well, see, I made this joke because it's like I would never catch. I don't think I would ever actually catch this disease because I'm going to be waiting for I'm going to know a lot more about this person before you. So they'd have to essentially
they'd have to slip a roofie.
They'd have to drug me or something like that in order to get me with this monster. But I'm like, okay, let's say you change up the rules of this monster just a little bit. It's like if you were being hunted down by a monster, all right, and you knew it was coming for you, even if it was slowly. And you knew that the only way to get it to go away was to get it to target someone else. And for two Christian boys, if you knew the only way to get it to target someone else, you had to sleep with someone. There's a lot of moral questions that me and my brother have to ask for something like that. It's just like, okay, I'm wondering if I'd actually just have to live with it,
Yeah, it's... definitely a conundrum, but another point, I want to talk about some of the good stuff, but first, it's the raunchy stuff because of the way this thing is transferred. It's not really sexy. It's just depressing. It's like when they're doing the deed, it's just they got these dead expressions and.
Oh no! It's okay. Almost every, I think the only time no, even then. Oh. Yeah, everyone is it wasn't raunchy or erotic at all at any point. They do it a lot. I don't know why the director's crossing this line. It's like, look.
Because we're an edgy horror film.
Look, we're rated R. And it's just like, I mean, that wasn't even that you know, that wasn't anything like that didn't do anything for me aside from make me uncomfortable. So far, 2 movies made me really uncomfortable. First one made me uncomfortable because it was watching some crazy chick, fall in a hole and all-consuming depression, both psychologically and figuratively and symbolically.
I am grief! I am grief!
And in this one, it's guilt sex. I'm like, and it's like very uncomfortable guilt sex.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I'm sorry I'm passing this monster off to you, but I don't want it killing me. It's like, thank you.
Yeah, but going to the positives of this movie, these teenagers were actually pretty likable.
They were very realistic.
They were very, very realistic teenagers. Like they were a little bit smarter than your average horror fare.
Okay.
Than your average horror fare.
They didn't make any mistakes I couldn't see myself as a teenager making.
Yeah.
Okay? Like, when the kid tries to shoot the invisible creature and accidentally shoots his friend on the opposite side, it's like, no, I'm trying to, I've got television, I'm trying to shoot the thing right there, I'm not thinking about what's outside. Oh crap, that's right, bullets go places.
Right. Yeah, that's a mistake that I think a lot of us would make. It's a fair mistake. But one thing I really want to give praise for is the soundtrack.
Yeah, the music. I was like, we talked about the music. We brought up the music a couple times during the movie. It was very retro.
Yeah, it's very like 80s in a sort of No Man's Sky style. It was very interesting.
I know it's kind of like sacrilege to say this, but it reminded me a lot of Stranger Things. Which the soundtrack from Stranger Things was 80s.
Yeah, but
so because 80s is the most recent, since Stranger Things is the most recent 80s thing I've seen, even though it's not actually 80s, that's why the soundtrack from this movie reminded me of that one. I don't know why the soundtrack was 80s, because the setting was in 80s. I'll tell you, it was a little jarring, but I mean that helped the mood. So,
yeah. But yeah, I think that's pretty much our thoughts on the movie. It's like so what would you say, like 7 out of 10? 6.5?
I don't know. I'd have to think about that one.
Yeah, I'd probably put it around that area.
My younger self, I'd rate it by whether or not I'd be able to sleep the following night, but I don't have nightmares anymore, so.
No, it's adults have other nightmares. It's like I have nightmares of, it's like being back in the Marine Corps and forgetting my uniform.
You need help. So, yeah. No, I don't get any nightmares. I barely even get dreams anymore. It's kind of weird.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you all for joining us on our third Nights of Frights, and we'll see you next time. Have a nice day.